What's up, guys? This is episode 10. I can't believe I made it to episode 10. It's hard to believe. I wouldn't even be on episode 1 if it wasn't for these guys. We worked with them beginning in the fall and hit it off really well. And then met them at the PGA show, became friends, hung out in their booth for, I don't know, probably 2 hours. And then I had this idea like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast, but I don't know anything about it. And these guys are the ones that actually walked me through it, told me what to buy. And honestly, I wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for them. So today I'm really excited to introduce my guest, Seemore Putters. Today I have Cody Hale, Jim Grundberg, and Ted Gallina. Jim is the CEO of Seemore. He has some really cool stories. I mean, there's really cool stories. And so I'm really excited to have him on the show today and hear all about Seemore. I know you guys already know who they are. They pretty much make the best putters out there, in my opinion. Sorry, your competitors that I work with. But without further ado, this is Seemore Putters. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks.
Really, really love being on this. Yeah.
This is cool. It's really cool. So my first question I always ask brands is, before I even start working with them, I'm always like, well, what's your story, right? Because I don't really, like, everybody knows about brands, but I feel like when you ask that question to people, you kind of can feel them out, right? You can tell if they're cool or not. So first question I want to ask is, I don't really know like the story of Seemore. So can you begin this, like how Seemore started and that kind of thing?
Yeah, we didn't start Seemore, but we acquired Seemore and back in 2006. So, but if you go back to the Seemore, it was one of these incredible garage inventions and patents, of which there's hundreds, if not thousands, every year in golf. And this particular one came around in about 1997, 1998 is when it started becoming a product. And then, it was defined by an alignment system. So the guys that created it were golf professionals out on the West Coast. And they just thought, hey, alignment and aim is still, in the end of the day, the foundation of putting. I mean, if you're not actually aimed where you think you're aimed, and if you're not square to your own putter, then you have to, in order to make putts, sometimes it's going to be like 2 wrongs make a right or 3 wrongs make a right. And their philosophy was, hey, this is a precision device, a putter. With drivers, you have a fairway, and with irons, you have a green. But with putters, you have a 4-inch hole. And, if you want to make putts, there's no really room or margin for error. So the Seemore putter was created around this alignment system, which we call RifleScope technology, the 2 white lines and the red dot. The red dot gets hidden by the bottom part of the shaft. You can frame it in between the 2 white lines, and then all of a sudden, your setup, your posture, your head, your shoulders, everything starts squaring itself up to be ready to make a repeatable stroke the same every time. And then you also, using that same technology, you're also perpendicular. You've got perpendicular and parallel lines to your target line. So you're square to your putter. The putter is square to your target line. At this point in time now, you've knocked off the major variables that would affect putting, and you can putt with confidence and you just get better and better. So that's the technology story. And then, the big historical story is that the first month this putter ever went out to the tour was January 1999. And these 2 golf pros, they went to the tour and they actually found a guy who was kind of called himself a tour rep at the time. And the world back then, 20 years ago, was nothing like it is now. There were just a few of them out there. But they found this independent tour rep and they said, hey, what do you think about this putter? And he was like, that's incredible. Nobody's got anything like it. It's visibly different and it's very, very intuitively correct. As soon as you see it, while it might seem odd for about 5 seconds, as soon as somebody shows it to you, they're like, oh, no, this makes all the sense in the world. So he took it to Pebble Beach. Payne Stewart put it in play that week. He hadn't won in 4 years on the PGA Tour.
It's crazy.
And Payne Stewart's caddy, Mike Hicks, had come up to the tour rep at the time and said, hey, yeah, Payne's he's ready. He's ready to win. He's ready to get back to, the way he used to be, but his putting is very inconsistent. And in fact, the caddy said from putt to putt, it appeared that Payne wasn't even setting the putter up in the same way every time. So they gave him the Seemore putter. They showed him what it was all about. Payne Stewart practiced with it for a day and said, this is the best thing I've ever seen. He wins the tournament that week. 4 months later, he wins the U.S. Open at Pinehurst, greatest putting performance in major championship history. So this brand isn't even 6 months old, and it's all of a sudden associated with what is still probably the greatest putt in the history of major championships.
I mean, yeah, for sure.
We'll find the most. So, what a start for a brand. As a marketing guy, you would dream about a couple of things.
Yeah, I would never. Yeah.
Yeah. You dream about a technology that's actually clearly different and visibly different than everything else. And you've got that. And then, oh, by the way, how about the greatest putting performance in major championship history? So anyway, that's the background. And
that's when it like just blew up, right? They had the idea, they created a really cool product, and then through fate, right? Like it got in the hands of Payne, and then it would probably take years for people to realize how amazing that technology was. But then it's like, and back then there was really no internet. I know it was like the early internet days, but no one is on it. So, I mean, just that kind of exposure right away, like just launched it, right? Like that's insane. I knew that story. I just couldn't believe that. I mean, honestly, the RST is like pretty much, it's awesome. Like I was actually I can't remember the first putter you give me. I don't remember which one on top of my head right now, but like I was using it with the pro I work with, and he's like, let me see that. And he took it and he like shot like one putt and he shot it in. He's like, holy crap. He's like, this is amazing. I'm like, I know, right? He's like, can I have it? And I'm like, no, you can't have it. So I'm like, you can buy your own. So then he's like, I'm like, well, you can use it like this week or something. He's like, all right, cool. And he still hasn't given it back to me yet, but that's okay because I'm gonna see it next week. But no, it's like, it's crazy how it works because it's hard to explain. I guess the best I can describe is like shooting a gun, right? I mean, that's the technology. Kinda, but like, looking down that scope, looking down at your putter, whether or not you're in the right position and then whether or not you're set correctly. But yeah, I think it's just phenomenal. And, so, obviously we all know what happened to Payne, which is horrible. I remember that day. And so then I'm assuming, the years after that was kind of rough, right? For the brand, obviously. And then you guys came in 2006. Now I met your other partner, right? At the show.
Jason. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Who's in California, right?
Yes.
That guy. Yeah. He's cool. He's really nice. So then how'd you guys acquire? Like what happened?
Well, he and I had been actually with Odyssey from the early days. So we had a background in golf.
I never knew that. Oh, wow.
So, we were both involved with the Odyssey putter brand when it was a small independent brand, right? So we saw how a small brand could grow, when it had a meaningfully different technology. And, at the time that brand had come along, really the story was inserts and soft inserts for very hard golf balls. And, years later we said, the golf balls had softened up. And so, not to say anything bad about that brand, but the original reason why the brand was created had sort of was no longer.
I never knew that. Wow.
Yeah. And so we kind of felt like, and then, there were 2-ball putters and there were other putters out there. And, we felt like the next frontier in putters was alignment, because again, almost everything that's important about putting has to start with somebody is having a perfect alignment. And, there are plenty of putters out there, big mallets that have big lines, but, those sometimes trick the golfer into just using the top of the putter to try and line up. But what they don't have is they don't have that calibration of themselves to the putter. So they still end up aiming way left or where they're aiming. And then they just, they push the ball out to the right or they aim to the right and they pull the ball to the left. So again, we felt like there were alignment devices on a lot of putters that were catching on, but we didn't really feel like they were doing the job. And that's where we felt like there was an opportunity. And Cody works the tour and he sort of works our R&D lab here. And we've got 2 putting studios and constantly working with golfers. And
that's so cool.
Even though the brand has had these unbelievable experiences on tour with Zach Johnson winning 2 major championships and Payne Stewart. A little tiny brand with no marketing and not paying tour players to win 3 major championships at 3 of the top 5 golf courses in the world. Pinehurst, St. Andrews, and Augusta.
Yeah.
But what's really cool about this brand is that the average golfer, whether that's a golfer trying to break 100, break 90, break 80, the country club golfer, this technology is even more spectacular.
Oh no, it's a shot saver, big time. It's deadly accurate. That's the truth. And then all the different head designs you guys have, it's like you and the new hosel design you guys were showing at the show and that we just reviewed. Like I don't know, it's a game changer for sure, especially for the guy that like wants to break 80 or break 90. Like those are the strokes you're going to get because you can actually get the ball in the hole, right? Like, so then
Cody and Ted work the studio all the time. What do you guys think? Ted, Cody, you're working constantly as instructors with students. Tell us about some of those experiences.
Yeah, for sure. I want to hear about this.
Yeah.
you've got, putting's not one of the things that most people, go out and they think of hitting drives. We see, players like DeChambeau and all those guys that are, just bombing it these days. And that, putting's not one of the fun things. They go out and, hey, look, let's just go make a ton of putts on the putting green. That doesn't seem like a really fun thing to go do for hours, right? So, I think one of the cool things that we've been able to do and the brand's been able to do is the technology has stayed the same for, over 20 years. I mean, look at any other brand out there and tell me one technology that has really stayed the same. You see faces change. You see colors change on putters. This alignment system has stayed on a putter and stayed true throughout time because it reinforces like Jim said, reinforces alignment, reinforces what we consider core fundamentals in your setup and in golf is being able to aim the putter better, being able to get set up to the putter the same way. And as you mentioned, Paul, like looking down, the sight of a gun, or we relate it to like shooting free throws in basketball. You want to be fundamentally sound and you want to try to create a routine of doing it the same way from the same position to be able to develop better touch and better feel and accuracy. And so if you're not going to put a huge amount of time like tour pros into being able to putt, and you're not going to go do it for hours, at least you're going to be able to know that when you go out and you get set up, you have a system on the back of every single one of these putters that's going to be able to tell you, hey, look, I am getting in the correct position and I'm putting the putter down. I know my face is square. I know the shaft's in the same position. I'm controlling the loft so that I'm getting started in the same position. And that's going to help you return the putter back to a consistent spot so that you can develop some consistency, not only in your putting stroke, but where the ball's starting and where you're aiming. And those all from the tour level down is what we're trying to accomplish, right? Whether it's in the full swing or especially in putting, because, it's not a huge dynamic swing where we can aim right and curve the ball back in the middle of the fairway. We need to be somewhat neutral in our putting setup. So, we need to have some form of feedback. So it's just really unique that we can have, some type of system that, guides us and helps us calibrate sort of each day that we can go out there. And that's really unique. And it's on the back of all the putters. We just, continue, like you said, sort of continue to try to be innovative with some of the designs we've created. And for this year, I think we've, really created some really cool.
Oh, heck yeah, you did.
I would also add that, nowadays people are always looking for a quick fix on things, and they might not know what they're doing with their putting when they use a Seemore putter, other than Ted and Cody just told me to hide the red dot. And it takes care of what Cody says, so many things. And that's, all they have to remember when it comes to putting. Aim, and they're already in the same spot. Ball in the same position. Loft is always square. Shoulders, hips, and feet are square to your intended target line. Well, they don't have to think about that for every single putt, where if you don't have some type of a reminder, the red dot and the white lines on the bottom of the putter head, well, am I set up the same way? Is my loft in the same position? Well, let me try, this worked last time. Let me try to get in the same spot. Oh, let me have a little bit of an open, stance here. No, this sets you up the same way day in and day out. So the comfort of doing the right thing every single time, and it gives you visual feedback, so you actually know what a good putt feels like. 90, a lot of percent of people out there don't know what a good putt feels like. You ask a Seemore user why they use a Seemore putter, and they could give you a nice 5 solid answers of why they use it. And usually that's what happens. Our Seemore user turns other players onto a Seemore putter because, okay, if it's working for him, and you said it, Paul, I can save strokes out there, 2-3 strokes around, then okay, then why wouldn't I want to at least use it, or not only use it, but use it as a training aid? It's an ultimate training aid. So
yeah, like I love it. I think it's phenomenal. Until I was able to actually, I've used them before. I've used one before. Like my friend had it when I was using it right at the course. I'm like, this is really cool. And then I started working with you guys, and I was like, holy crap! It's like it changes everything. It makes it so you don't have to worry about it. Like, oh, am I set up right? Oh, why am I not hitting the ball correctly? Like, it's all that has to be done. Like, you just know, okay, even if the very bare minimum, you know what you're doing with the putter, you don't have to worry about that anymore, right?
Well, what we also do in the studio, we tell you the why behind everything, why it's so important to get in the position, why length of putter is good, why the loft is this way. So now you walk out, or any SPI instructor giving a lesson, you walk out going, okay, they've given me some good concrete information. And that's why, 40% of your strokes are given or used with the putter, but only 6% of lessons yearly are given in putting because there's not really a good concrete system to give in putting lessons or putter fittings.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why you saw Jim mention when Payne switched, right? That's what Mike Hicks told us is he's trying to figure out where to put the ball position, where to put his hand position. That's the same way a 10 handicap or a 15 handicap is like, he's having those same questions run through his mind on hole 2. It's like,
yeah,
I just missed a 3-footer on hole 1. It's like, oh no, where should I put my hands on this next spot or the ball?
Yeah. What's wrong? Oh, it's the grass. It's the green today. Are they fast? Is the crap on the green? Like,
well, that's like
your mind is racing.
Hicksy would say, Payne would say, okay, what putting stroke am I going to use today? And Hicksy's just like, oh my God, and seriously, you're helping me pay bills. We need help.
That's right. So if we can eliminate a few of those just question marks in the head, then we know if we've got a little bit of a clear mindset when we set up over a putt, at least we're going to hit a better putt, or at least trust ourselves to hit a better putt. A little bit better confidence when we set up to it. Maybe we'll hit it in the sweet spot, put a better roll on it, and hopefully that's going to lower our number of putts per round. Yeah,
I've used it when I was playing, and I'm like, people are like, what is that? And I show them, and they're like, holy crap. I'm like, you should go buy one. I'm telling you, like, you're not going to switch. So with the studios you have, like, what kind of development are you guys doing right now?
Well, I think, what we've talked about is the extreme functionality of a Seemore putter, right? I mean, they work, right? They will improve your putting. And originally, probably for Seemore's first 5 years, the only putter that anybody saw was the original FGP, which stands for featuring ground plumb. Nobody knows that, but that was the original, sort of technical engineering concept there. And the original guys that invented it said, hey, we don't need any other models because this, everybody should use this. And, they were such believers in that technology that they just hammered that home. And then, really Ted and Cody have sort of captured all of the training part of our technology and put it into something we call the Seemore Putter Institute. So we now have videos and all kinds of lesson plans for fitters and instructors to use when working with their students. And so, in some ways, we're kind of like that little restaurant that's never marketed and you only have to discover us through word of mouth. But then, of course, every once in a while we win a major championship and enough eyes come to this brand and they're like, why aren't more people using a Seemore putter? But we haven't ever. We're small, we're tiny, which is, we appreciate you behind the brand, identifying these cool small companies that have great products that people may not know about. And so we're all about that. But if you fast forward, Paul, we also know that golfers, a lot of golfers achieve enjoyment in the game through things like just buying really, really cool clubs and beautiful clubs and clubs that feel great and all that stuff. So we did evolve from, hey, we have the best damn technology
in
the world. Just use it and you'll get better. To, hey, what about all these golfers out there that are constantly seeking something new and improved and different? So going back to what Cody said, RifleScope technology is our wheel. And it's got, the wheel is still working now,
Yeah, it's the engine. Yeah.
Years after it was created. So with RifleScope technology, we have all of our putters feature RifleScope technology, but we've enhanced the designs. We've decided, hey, we're going to go meet those golfers halfway because to get them introduced to our technology and the benefits of it, if we have to start doing some things in terms of really cool product development, we're going to do it. So we've gone so many different directions, adding the offset plumber neck hosel this year.
Yeah, I love it.
ROC hosel. It's incredible for that golfer that wants that look. And from a price point, Paul, I mean, our putters now, the simple way to think about our line is that we sort of have a $200 line and a $400. The $200 line, we never tell anybody that there's any sacrifice in performance, right? Any Seemore putter you acquire, however you acquire it, is going to give you all these benefits. But why the $400 line? I mean, the $400 line is unbelievable. I mean, these things are sick looking. They're 100% milled here in the United States. Beautiful materials, stainless steel and aerospace aluminum and other select materials from time to time with private reserve. And, we found that, hey, a lot of golfers, they're like, hey, no, the putter's 40% of the game. I want to invest more in my putter than I've invested in my driver, which I change every year.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to keep this thing forever. So,
yeah. So we think also not just our, RifleScope technology, which is going to make you a better putter, but you know what? You want to have pride of ownership. You want to have something beautiful that just feels unbelievable. When you look at it, you feel like it's a Rolex watch or it's a Ferrari. Our milled putters. So, the really cool thing is, even for a tiny company like ours, the advent of the internet and word of mouth and reviews and all that kind of stuff, it really is great because, people, you're not going to buy a product from a small company you haven't barely heard of without reading what other people say. But fortunately, almost everybody that's ever used a Seemore putter has really great things to say. And so, people can discover us that way.
Yeah, because like when I had it was at the course and I was with my instructor, like he's also my son's instructor. Like he's like, oh yeah, I used one of these like 5 years ago on the, or something. I remember seeing these are really cool, and I'm like, and then he took it and he like started putting with it, and he was like, holy crap! Like it just blew his mind. And he's like, I'll buy. Like he was really gonna buy it off me right then and there. I was like, nah, dude, I'm gonna buy it off me. I'm like, nah, but I mean, I did let him borrow it, like I said, but
well, that's awesome.
But I mean, he was like in love with it, like.
Yeah.
Like at that moment, and all it took, he's like, this is the best putter I've ever hit in my entire life. Like he's like, this thing is like, and I'm not just saying this for the show, I'm being honest. Like this is exactly what he said. I'm like, he's like, no, he's like, something's different about this putter. He's like, I don't even know. I could see it on his face, like he was just like in shock, right? But I think that's the key right now is what I'm finding, because like, I don't know if you guys know this, but like, so my dad started like a training aid company like in the late 90s, and when I got out of college, like it was the same thing, right? It was like dawn of internet. How do you get in magazines? How do you even get the word out there? You have a cool product, right? And so it's like, what I had to do was I just wrote letters to like every major company and was like, hi, or every major news organization / magazine was like, hi, my dad has a training aid. You guys test it out. I'd find who the training aid guy was or the gear guy, and like with the dawn of the internet, that was the best I could do. And what was cool because we got into, if you can get cool products in people's hands, they're going to love it. Right. So like we got into tons of magazines and people wrote reviews on it, but that's hard. Even now, like, yeah, you can do Instagram, you can do whatever it is. But like what I find is I feel like golfers are hungry for that information. They want to know, right? They want to know what's really going to change their game, and they don't care what it costs, because they don't. They're golfers. Like, so they're always tinkering, trying to solve the problem. And that's why I like you work with you guys, because one, you solve a major problem, number one. And I like exposing. I mean, I'm not saying people already know who you are. I knew who you were. I already reviewed your products before I met you guys, but then I met you as people and I'm like, oh, you guys are really cool. So, I think one of the purposes behind the podcast is really just to expose people behind the company, right? Like, hey, if I called you right now and we had this conversation, it'd be the same regardless of it being recorded or not, right? So it's like, I'm like, well, I should do something like that so people can actually enjoy it, right? And learn more about these really cool companies, what they're doing and how they can help your game. And so, no, that's one reason why I really appreciate you're here, because I think more people should know about this, number one, because you can really save strokes, right? And that's what it comes down to. That's why you're always buying stuff. But
we've also kind of, Paul, we've realized that it's not just our industry, but so many industries for some reason have gotten away from just great customer service. And I don't even know if there ever was an era of great customer service, but from day one, we said that's really what we want to be known for. I mean, we know our product. We believe 1,000% our product, and we know that we also have sort of this training manual that can help instructors, fitters, and consumers themselves learn about how to use it. You mentioned yourself, Paul, that the more you learned about the Seemore, the more you realized, hey, this is, nothing.
The more I appreciated it, and
nothing comes easy. But what this putter does is that if you're willing to work just a little bit with it, it continues to give you great improvement, great feedback. And so you have better practice, and then you're going to play better, right? And so, that's the really cool thing. But then we just said, well, customer service. I mean, let's treat every, we go to the tour, and I mean, you'll just drop anything to be able to engage with a tour player. But we decided really every golfer has the same aspirations. And so Ted and Cody can talk about it, but our philosophy when it comes to customer service, I think is not, I don't know, other companies don't execute it the way we do. And it's just, we just care about our customers. I mean, we want to become friends with them. We have them text us and call us on weekends. I mean, it's just, this is really fun for us.
It's fun. Yeah, it's exactly. You wouldn't be, I mean, it's like me. This is all fun, 100% fun. That's all it is, and like, I love interacting with players. Like, anybody who's on my site, I always interact with them. They don't text me, but they email me or send me messages, ask questions, and they'll go, "Hey, what's a good putter?" Right. And I won't be like, "Oh, buy this one." I'll be like, "Well, here, it depends on what you want to do. Here's 3 different kinds that I like, depending on what kind of player you are." But yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what's great. Even now with the whole COVID and everything, you're seeing a big shift. I don't know, I have at least, that like online sales, right? There's key, and customer service, right? Because a lot of the brands that I work with are small to mid-sized brands. I've talked to the big brands, but I've worked with a couple of them, but it's different because they're big. It's like a big corporation. It's a Titanic, right? But they're not as nimble and they don't really understand stuff and whatever. But, I think people care about having that relationship with the brands they support. I know I do, right? Like, you want them to do good.
I think it's sort of, like anything, you treat people how you want to be treated.
Exactly.
So if we go to a restaurant or if we go to a donut place or whatever, we want that type of service too. And so, okay, we put ourselves in our customer shoes and say, well, we need to do the same thing. And if if we have to take an extra 3 to 6 minutes on a phone call to make sure that the person understands exactly what he or she is getting, then, it's not a problem on those lines. So I think that's what it is. We truly want them to become better in putting, and we know we have the answers to do that. And if it takes a little bit longer to explain it to them, some get it. It's like a light bulb, and others, like Cody can attest this in lessons, it might take a little bit longer. But okay, then we just word it a little bit differently, and next thing you know, they're Seemorian, as we call them. They go out and spread the word.
Seemorians. Yeah. You should guys get a shirt that has that, like a alien looking dude. I don't know. That'd be cool. Let me design it for you.
Perfect.
A Seemorian. I like that. Yeah, I've talked to, a lot of brands, and it seems like the ones that I'm working with, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, it doesn't matter how old your company is, as long as I feel like it's the size, right? And whether or not you care about the consumer. And if you do, because what I always say is, I'm just like, I tell people, look, I'm not a pro. I wish I was a pro. I'm not. I'm that guy who's trying to get better. And I got tired of not hearing the truth, right? I knew I was being sold something because I would walk into the store. They'd be like, oh, I don't know, try these things. Or I would, read articles somewhere, and I'm like, it's complete BS because I can see they're also advertising on the same page, So that's kind of why I started the site in the beginning. But finding good brands like Seemore makes it fun for me because I not only see what the brand can do and what kind of products they have, but I know they stand behind it and they're willing to educate the public on how to use it. Like your site's great, right? Because tons of information. It's not like, oh yeah, here's the buy this thing, check out, goodbye. It's like, no, you want to know how this thing works? This is how you use it. Here's a bunch of videos, And I think educating people are not dumb. I think big companies think people are stupid. I really do, because they're like, oh, they'll buy whatever it is. No, we're not. It takes me 5 minutes. All I have to do is Google search. I'll figure out whether or not you're full of crap. So that thing is really cool. You guys do that.
And marketing-driven companies, I mean, they're driven, they're publicly, a lot of them are public, or even if they're not public, they've got, some sort of, investment capital behind them. They have demands for returns. And, they just, they start by, here's the revenue we need. Here's when we're doing our launches. Here's when we're going to obsolete what we have. And I think, as you said, golfers, I mean, in the end of the day, I mean, you really can't make something, a totally new technology better every 6 months. I mean, you just can't do that. I mean, I don't care how big your R&D department is. And when you have something great, let it ride. So we've had something great for 20 years. Now, we've shown you that, but we change our models, our materials, all kinds of things to keep golfers satisfied. And I mean, to me, the most surprising thing has been how many golfers, Paul, that love Seemore. They're addicted to it. It's sort of addictive technology. They'll never use anything but a Seemore, but they still contact us all the time about our new products. And I want one of those. And it's like, but you tell me you're already putting great with your current putter. And they're, yeah, but I'm a golfer and I love collecting great golf clubs. And when it comes to putters, I'm only going to collect Seemore putters. So it's been
that's cool.
Surprising to us. I don't know, Cody, how you feel about that. But at first I thought I would almost be offended that somebody wouldn't be satisfied with their Seemore, because, if you want to just get one putter for the rest of your life, I'd say just get a Seemore putter. But for most golfers, they don't want to stop there. They love what we're doing and they just want to enhance it. And, putting greens maybe 20 years ago, and then 10 years ago, and then 5 years ago, it's just started becoming better and better and better. At one point, great greens were sort of the PGA Tour, right? And everybody else was sort of like, yeah, I don't have great greens, so I'm not going to put a lot of money into a putter when I've got greens out there. But now, I mean, almost every golf course in America, even at the municipal level, can grow fantastic greens because of the agronomy. And that makes the putter that much more, useful in terms of, hey, wow, I literally can have the same putting experience as a tour player.
One thing I'm seeing a lot of is people, like, in the last, I would say 3 to 3 years, I would say, is customization. Like, people love that. Like, that's where everyone's going right now. Is like they want to customize that putter in some way, however it is. Not just putters, but I mean, I've seen it with, look at golf gloves, right? Look how you can customize a golf glove now. There's like a million different kinds, It's like, I feel like people want to be unique, right? And I think it's one thing you're doing. It's like, we don't just have one putter, right? And here it is in the design. It's like, we have all these designs, all these different finishes, all of these different hosels, right? It all does the same thing, but it's like whatever you are as a player, what you want to look like in your bag, whatever it might be. Like, I think that's great that you guys are doing that, because people want that. I know I do, right? And we all want to customize our bags. We all want to customize our gear. I don't know. So
we have a lot of essentially any putter that you order from us, whether you get it from us or through wherever your favorite shop is. I mean, you can customize length and grip and lie and head cover. And then, we've gone beyond that too. We can stamp them. We can change paint fill colors.
Yeah, it's cool. Some of the stuff you guys are doing is really cool.
Yeah, and we're kind of this really cool sort of word of mouth company. The first people we're starting with right now are people that already are sort of our insiders, right? So we're telling our insiders, hey, if you really want to do sort of something very cool and custom, just contact us and we'll figure something out. So we're in the process of sort of a soft launch of a custom shop right now.
Oh, that's cool.
And
I didn't know that.
Created some killer putters with some really unbelievable.
I'm telling you now, customization is like, everybody's doing it. Like, I mean, everybody that I know that I'm friends with and I work with are doing some kind of customization. Yeah. They're like, oh, I can't keep it in stock. Like, it's just, I don't know. You saw that with like head covers, right? I feel like it's kind of where it started. And then now you're seeing it with bags a little bit. You're definitely seeing it in golf gloves. Definitely.
Well, everybody wants that tour experience, right? You see all these pictures on different social media outlets of the tour bags of these putters that these guys on tour use that are just stamped and
piece of art. Yeah.
Yeah. That are, right? They are pieces of art.
Yeah.
So cool with these shafts and grips. And I think that's one of the really cool things we've done over the years and we're continuing to expand on, is that a player could come in, whether they go through one of our retail outlets or one of our fitters, they could go in and not only could they go in and, get fit for a putter, but customize it. Hey, you could go in and get the right length, no matter what that is. It could be 33.25 inches. And you could get the right lie angle and the right loft, and you could pick a pink grip and a cool head cover. But now going in with an all black shaft or get your initial stamp, change the paint fill. And as Jim mentioned, sort of a custom shop and maybe changing some of the finishes and just continuing to expand on that and making it sort of like your own and making it a true piece of art. And hey, it's a club in the bag that we use the most. Why wouldn't you want to spend
maybe the most
money on that part of it?
We're always switching out our drivers, right? We always are. And because we're always being sold on what the next new model is and why it's better, which is a bunch of bull crap. And, your irons you're going to keep for a while, obviously. Probably you're happy with them. I know I kept mine for 20 years because they did the job. But I think the putter is something that you can definitely customize because you keep that forever, right? And you don't have to keep it in your bag. You can have it in your house. You can have it wherever. I mean, it's still a work of art, right?
You can have a rotation of them. That's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, you can. Like, you could have 5 Seemore putters, and depending on what head you want to use, and like, it's almost like accessorizing, like, like what looks good in this bag. I have 5 bags in my office right now, right? And they all look different, but they're all different. I don't know. I just think.
Hey, I have a guy that I fit here. That's a pretty good player, and Jim probably knows who I'm talking about. He's mine. He's got a work putter, a golf course putter, maybe a second home putter, and we just did a little customization. They're all the same head style. They're all the same length. They're all the same lie angle. two of them are silver, and now one of them's black. And they all have their different homes, So
well, that's the thing, right? Like, we're guys, we accessorize. I mean, you want to be unique. I don't know. I just really think
a little different paint fill in each one of them.
Yeah, like you want that. I know I do. It's like, why do people tweak out their cars, right? No different. Like, I don't know. I just think you guys make cool putters. And I know they work. 100% they work. There's no doubt about that. I just think it's really cool that I didn't know you were talking about, you guys are starting to do this customization. That was like not planned for, right? That question. But I think it's how you guys already had it before, where you can change, whatever head style you like. Do you want, a mallet, or do you want something else? And then what kind of mallet do you want? Do you want this kind? Like, you guys have so many. It's so cool. I don't know. A lot of people don't do that. They say, okay, this is our main putter. That's it. Sorry. So it's very advanced, I think.
Well, and I think, as Cody said, I mean, we're trying to treat every golfer, the same as we would a tour player. And, tour players never, they never get it exactly right the first time. I mean, it's a process, right? You're a serious player, and it's a process, right? And so, yes, the Seemore putter itself will bring you a long ways there in terms of where you need to get. But in the end of the day, that doesn't mean that you may start off with a blade and then all of a sudden feel like, well, maybe the mallet was a little bit more, the way to go. So we never leave you hanging. It goes back to the customer service, right?
Exactly.
So we encourage an after purchase relationship, and people love that. So,
it's brand loyalty, right? Because they want to support. Like, that's what I think is so special about this podcast, at least, is like, I just look at it as I want to support my friends, right? And I want to get the word out. But I think once people learn that who these people are behind these brands and care about their story and who's really what they're like trying to do, that this is not a sales call, right? This is more like, hey, what's going on? What are you guys up to? That people want to support that brand. Like, they feel connected to that brand. And and you don't see that with the bigger companies, right? It's almost like they have to do the marketing in order to get in front of your face. But like, I don't know. I feel like that's where the big, at least since like Instagram came out, a lot of these other, social media platforms, the consumer's more aware of what's out there and they want to support. I know that for a fact. So I've seen it everywhere. But I mean, I think what you guys do is, the technology is amazing. I was blown away. Like I said, the first time I used it, I was like, holy crap. And then, hanging out with you guys at the PGA show was a lot of fun honestly, you guys are really, just to the listeners, like, these are really good dudes. They're so nice. Like, honestly, they're just nice people. And like, that's what I would like, that's the kind of people I want to spend my time with. So,
we love the fact that, Seemore, when you have a Seemore putter, you're part of our family, right? And just like you are, Paul. And it's like, it's really fun. People will send us pictures from vacation. Hey, here's me and my other 3 playing partners, all with Seemore putters.
That's
Everybody
cool.
that ever goes to Pinehurst takes the picture next to the big Payne Stewart statue with the Seemore putter. And
that's cool.
St. Andrews, Augusta. I mean, it's fun that, they just feel like, okay, yeah, they're avid golfers. They're serious golfers. They love their equipment. They love they love stuff. But I think they just have a special feeling about our brand because it is more like a family. And that's really cool. I mean, there's brands like that a lot of people just want to be affiliated with. And, so how do we get the word out there? We're not spending money advertising. We're putting content out there as well. I mean, you mentioned that, we gave you a few tips on the podcast equipment. I mean, Ted, Cody, myself,
you guys walk me through it, man. I didn't know jack squat.
We had this idea for a podcast. We're like, well, I mean, we're all about putting. I mean, and people are just, it's 40%.
You guys are killing it on your podcast. I saw you down. I was
the
like,
putting couch. We started this thing called the putting couch, and it's a lot of fun. And it's only about putting, but sometimes we talk about instruction. Sometimes we talk about the mental game. Sometimes we talk about tour stories. Sometimes we interview guys that have won on tour or competed on tour. Now lately we've been starting to interview, maybe other people affiliated with our company, like maybe somebody that supplies, we had a guy that does a grip that we really, really like. We've done called the Garson grip. And
oh yeah, we review the Garson grip. That's a cool grip.
We've got, we're starting to put on our fitters and our instructors because they all have their own stories. And, that's the really cool thing.
Oh yeah, stories. I love the stories.
Yeah. So the putting couch is out there. I mean, Ted is sort of our main content creator when it comes to our internet sites. But the putting couch has been a lot of fun. And we're at 30. So it's been a lot of fun. You put it out there, people enjoy it and they share it. So it's a lot of fun. And it's a good way to learn about us and the company. And it's really, really fun for guys that just, want to be better golfers, and they're looking for information. And, the trend has been for 10 years, it's all been all about fitting when it comes to irons and woods and drivers. Now that's sort of come to putters, and we're at the forefront because if you really want to get fit for a putter, okay, then, we have a system, and then we also have a really great way to deliver you that custom built putter, right? I mean, it doesn't really matter if somebody, can go and fit somebody if that company can't deliver a custom built putter exactly to a unique set of specs. And that's one of the reasons why I think we're starting to take off right now, is because people are realizing, hey, you know what? Golf's really important to me. I spent a lot of time on it. I spent a lot of money on it. And you know what? I'm going to get fit for a putter. And I don't think people were talking about getting fit for a putter even 5 years ago that much.
No, it's switching. I think Damon and I were talking about this same thing. Like, people are tired of being sold the wrong product, right? Or not being able, like, you buy a set of irons from a major manufacturer and you get it and the lengths are wrong, even though you ordered the spec. You're like, what the hell? Right? Because they don't think But sorry, Ted, go ahead. I was sorry.
Well, I think also a lot of fitters like us as well, because what Jim and Cody said, we can do, 1/4 inch, this lie, this loft, this grip. It gives them options which make them look even more precise in their putter fitting. And then also these fitters are finding that they're opening up another line item in their sales that they haven't done before.
Oh, that's cool.
And so, we're always looking for fitters to contact us if they're looking to increase their revenue, just because of that fact that might be one hole in their whole fitting process. And if we can give them a system, reliable system, and then product that we can turn in 48 to 72 hours, it's a win for everybody.
And what we find is that once we get a fitter or an instructor that gets behind this, I mean, they're fitting everybody, because all their students are coming back saying, yeah, this has been a game changer. And so, you just create these pockets. So as a brand, we've been very content to do that, sort of one customer at a time, one club at a time. I mean, of course, we'd love to see this thing explode more quickly, but we're also very careful about remaining very, very authentic. And we don't really want to have to be pressured or forced into doing anything that's just not in the best interest of our golfer friends. And so, sometimes we have been telling a very similar story for year after year after year. And we think that's authentic. And we still see so many people on the inside of golf, whether it's caddies, whether it's publishers, whether it's, we're sort of an insider's brand. We see them every couple, 3 years. And the first thing they tell us is, that's the one club that never leaves my bag. And it's just
cool.
Kind of rewarding to do that.
When I was at the Phoenix Open, like I was watching everybody putting, right? All the players were just putting, tons of players putting. But I saw like one of your putters in a bag, and I got all excited. I was like, oh, awesome. And then it's just cool to see it. Like, I don't know. It's just cool that they're like, when you see your friends' brands, even though you're, a relatively large brand, I feel like you see like, oh, awesome. Because I think getting it out there and the results you get with it is just, it's hard, right? I know that it's hard to get the word out. That's the hardest part about all of this. It's just hard to get the word out when you have a great product, and just getting the word out to the people is like, try it, right? Because there's so much noise, right? Or so much money being spent by big companies that like they don't really know. And all the golfer wants to do is get better. It's all they care about, right? So
yeah, I love driving by golf courses and looking on greens, and it could be 50 yards, 100 yards away. And if I'm looking for that black portion, the bottom of the shaft, all right.
Yeah, you're excited, right? Because you're like, someone bought that. Like,
we got another one, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you don't even care which model it is or anything. Like, awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the fun, right? That's the fun that you guys still do this. Like, yeah, it's a business, and yeah, it's a company, but it's different because it's fun, and it's like, I don't know, like if it wasn't fun, you'd be doing something else. So. And,
we also, again, one of these things that, we encourage our fans from around the world. I mean, if they ever visit Nashville, come on by, and, their eyes light up when they come and they see our operation. We show them, they meet us, they kind of see where their putter was made. And so we have people come by all the time.
Oh, it's cool.
All over the place, right, Cody?
That's right. We've got 2 putting studios here. We show them, and then we obviously custom build all the putters in our factory here in the in the back here at our studio here at Franklin, Tennessee, just south of Nashville.
I've been to Franklin.
So it's really neat. Yeah.
I know exactly what Franklin is. I played golf.
We're about 20 miles south of downtown, 25 miles south.
Franklin's a nice area.
Nashville.
I like that area.
It's growing like crazy.
Is it really? Because last time I was there, okay, here's a story. Like, I went to Purdue for undergrad, and one of my really good friends was from Franklin. We drove down from northern Indiana and like played golf with his dad. I think there was like is there a Saturn plant there? Like Saturn cars?
Yes.
Yeah, because that's where his dad worked. And I remember seeing a snake on the green. I remember that. That's what I remember from the golf course. It was dead. It was flat, but it was a snake. And I was like, I live in Arizona. I've never seen a snake on the green. I go to Franklin, Tennessee. There's a freaking dead flat snake on the green. I was like, that's really weird. But no, Franklin's nice. I know exactly where it is. Is there any questions? I always ask this last question. Is there anything I haven't asked today that you guys were like, man, you should have asked about that? Or is there anything going on that you guys want to talk about that we haven't been able to cover? Like anything new coming out or for this year or anything cool?
I think we covered the biggest thing new.
Yeah.
I mean, at the custom shop, which we talked about new.
Yeah, I got that out of you, and I was even trying.
And then the RST Hosel was a new release at the PGA show, obviously, which was sort of something that I think Jim had as a drawing.
I have mine right there.
He could get in more to that, but it's sort of it's a really new innovative plumber neck for us, and it's really neat because it opens up a new market for us. So we were excited about that as an addition and a complement to the rest of our line for 2020. So that's something that we've received a lot of positive sort of feedback on as a complement to the line. So there's 7 cool new models that feature that new RST.
Cool. Oh yeah, you're saying that. I remember you saying that in the email. Like there's only one, right, that doesn't have it or something, or they all have it now.
We have a lot of options. Not everyone, but there's a lot of options.
I remember you saying that. That's really cool. Yeah, the RST is really, or the plumber neck is cool.
It's really super cool. It's
super cool.
It's cool. It does everything we've ever wanted to do in terms of alignment. And also, just for a plumber neck, it happens to swing on a more balanced plane than just about any other plumber neck you're ever going to find. So we think it's really, once somebody starts putting with it, it's like, wow, not only can I use RifleScope technology, but this putter is very, very stable. And most plumber neck designs are not like that. They require a bit more control and manipulation. So because of the design of this and the way that the hosel is situated, it's very, very stable. So, we're excited about it. I mean, it's way outside of the box for us. But again, here's a perfect example of us. Okay, we're established enough. We're very, very comfortable with our sweet spot, our comfort zone, relatively straight shaft putters. But we've added a double bend, and that's been very successful. We've had people win on tour with that. And now the RST hosel, again, it's in its infancy. Most people have never seen one yet because of COVID and what have you. But
yeah, the worst timing in the world, right?
We're confident that this is going to be a really breakthrough design. And,
for sure.
It always takes time when you're a small company, but we're really excited about it. And we're very global. I mean, it's cool, Paul, that every day we get notes from people, not just around the U.S., but around the world. I mean, really, like 50 countries or something like that. Over the course of a year, somebody is going to call us and contact us and say that they want to build a custom putter. So, a lot of countries we'll never visit, but how cool would that be to go to a place, the Czech Republic, Russia, and every country you could ever imagine in Asia, and you could find somebody with a Seemore putter. So it'd be really fun to go to a place like the Philippines and all of a sudden see
Ted looks over the bag and goes, "Oh crap!" He's like,
"Word does get out. Word gets around. It's an internet golf community. They've seen Payne Stewart. They know Zach Johnson's one of the best putters of his generation, and that's probably how they originally heard about it, and then." The cool thing is with the website, they can go and read about it. They can translate it to whatever language they want, and they can get the story.
I think one thing we could add is that, Paul, you mentioned about, your pro picking up the putter and, man, this feels solid right off the bat. And I think a technology that we have, and Jim hinted on it, was the FGP featuring ground plumb, is that the majority of our putters want to return to square, the face to square, to impact every single time. And so we have some great videos out there that talk about this. So, if we can set you up in the right spot, again, ball in the same position, posture the same way, and now the putter is swinging with you and you don't have to manipulate the putting stroke whatsoever because the face always wants to return to square every single time. So now you're hitting a solid strike and you get that feel that's coming off that putter head. And So that's one thing where all of a sudden someone with a Seemore first time user goes, wow, this feels so much different than my other putter, because their putter might be open to impact a little bit, and then they got to adjust, got to manipulate. But our putters always want to return to square every single time.
Yeah. The technology is amazing. I mean, honestly, and it works. Like, it just makes putting so much simpler. And then you know that feeling. When you hit the ball in the hole from a far distance, you're like, holy crap. Then you're like, yeah, see, it works. Like, they don't need to try anything else.
Well, it's funny too. You have someone who uses a Seemore with that technology, and then they go back to their putter for a little bit, and then they go back to the Seemore, and they say, okay, why does this one feel a little bit different than mine? What's the reason behind that? And you tell them and show them, then all of a sudden it clicks again. Wow, then okay, I can feel it and I can see the difference, then I'll take yours.
So there's our story real quick. So I had a friend come over. I have a big putting green in my garage, and I had the Seemore putter out, and I don't remember the other. Oh, he brought his putter over because he was in a show. He just bought this $400 putter. I don't even know what brand it was. It was expensive. And he like hit my Seemore, and he was like, he's like, what the heck? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, this is Seemore Putters. And he's like, this is better than one I bought. And I'm like, sorry, bro. And then and he was all excited about his putter, and then he got all depressed. I swear to God, it happened. Like, I totally forgot that story. And then I'm like, oh my God, that was Seemore. So yeah, and he didn't want to buy it off me, but he said, check it out online. I'm like, yeah, your putter sucks, bro. So it's ugly. That's what I told him. It was like orange. I think it was orange. I don't even remember. This was like 6 months ago, but that's a true story. But
Paul, one thing that we haven't talked about, we haven't really elaborated on, is the fact that people, when they use a Seemore putter, they always say, no matter whether it's our $200 putter or our $400 putter, typically after using it for a little while, we'll say, I just love the feel of the Seemore putter. And
it's the feel.
The reality is that what they're feeling is the feel of hitting the ball in the sweet spot with the proper loft and the face angle square. So, it doesn't, if your stroke improves and you're bringing it back to square, and so you're making impact where the loft is at the sort of 2 to 2.5 degrees, or 1.5 to 2.5 degrees at impact that you would want it, and the face is square, you're actually hitting it in the sweet spot way more than when you didn't have a system of where to set the putter down. So you can spend $1,000 on the material, but if you're not hitting it in the sweet spot with the proper loft and the proper face angle, it's not going to feel good. So a lot of times, one of the really surprising benefits that people feel with a Seemore putter is that unbelievable feeling of just a great, sort of like hitting a forged club right in the sweet spot. And it's because you do hit the sweet spot more often. And then what does that mean? Well, it means that your distance control is going to be a lot more consistent. And again, you're going to be tighter to the hole. So you still have to read the greens. I mean, there's a lot of things in putting beyond just a putter, right? And every putt is different, and breaks are, you have to to be a great putter. Ultimately, you have to become a pretty good green reader, and you have to have other systems for consistent, speed control and what have you. But with a Seemore putter, you're well on your way because you've got a head start. You've put a check.
It's reliable, half the battle's done. Now you got to deal with the grass, right?
So you can focus on that. You can focus on the line and the speed because your stroke is going to be improved.
Yeah, I love my Seemore putter. I have two of them. Well, I have one right now because the guy took one, but I have two. But I really appreciate you guys being on the show. I appreciate all the help you've given me in the last 6 months getting this podcast started. And I enjoy our friendship. And so thank you for being on the show today. And if you get out to the audience, check out Seemore Putters. I'm telling you right now, you will not be disappointed at all. And you will definitely save strokes on your game. I know I have. So thanks again.
Fantastic. We really appreciate it, Paul. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Paul.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Paul.
it, man.